All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining the stream. I hope you're having a great Sunday today. You're ready to draw something. As always, let me know how it sounds, if something needs adjustment, if the music is too loud. But it should be okay. How is it going, guys? How is Sunday so far? Let's give people a few more minutes to join. In the meantime, let me tell you what is the plan for today. Unless you didn't get a chance to read it. So, our plan for today is to doodle some landscapes. You know, yesterday let me reshare the screen. For some reason it got frozen, but yesterday I posted on Instagram a few questions about the topics. Wait a second. You don't see my screen. What's happening there? Why isn't it working? Okay, let me do this again. Excuse me the technical difficulties. Okay, you server start. Good morning, Narvan. Okay. Let's see. Now it should be working. Yes. There you go. I hope now you can see the screen of the iPad. If you do, that's great. Also, let's change this back to black. Just so it's a little bit easier on the eyes. All right. So, anyway, let's start over. That was a mess. Welcome everyone to the stream. Today we're gonna be drawing some landscapes, and the landscapes that we will be drawing today are defined by the votes from Instagram. So as you can see, yesterday I posted 3 prompts for today's stream, and people have voted. The votes has been cast. So today it looks like we're gonna be doing outdoors environment, cold, not really surprisingly, and kind of dark and gloomy mostly. Although some people wanted it bright and sunny, but I don't think it got enough votes. So here we have Procreate. That's where we're gonna be doodling today. Maybe next stream there will be traditional art stream. Let's see. But for today, let's give people some time to gather their things. In the meantime, let's update this default thumbnail template that it's been serving me pretty well in the past years, but I think it's time to update it. What I like about it, that it kind of, in Procreate, if you go here, you can create your own canvas sizes, which helps to speed up your work. But for example, you can even set like custom colors to it. So if I select the space book, then like it already sets the background color to what I want. But it's just that, like it's just the background color. That's kind of all you can choose there. But if you create a new file, like this for example, just a new file, you can set it up however you want. So for thumbnail sketches, I usually have horizontal layout, although it doesn't have to be. But I usually have this kind of generic horizontal layout and then few layers. The middle kind of, I don't know if you use Procreate. Gather your knitting needles. Perfect. Are you gonna need some gloomy old outdoors thing? That would be fun. Who else is gathered what? Back to thumbnails. I have this layer here, and all these 3 layers above, they are set clipping masks. So if you can see, I can unclip them and then set them back to clipping mask. And what it does is, I will show here, like if your layer is not on the clipping mask, you can just, paint whatever. But if you set it to clipping mask, then like the layer content stays the same, right? Like you didn't delete anything. But now it's confined to what is visible on this layer. So because on this layer we only have the rectangles, you only see the yellow mess in rectangles. Gloomy dark winter head. That actually fits perfectly the brief for today. That's impressive. I wonder how many rows you can do in one stream. But if you can see here, if I change something on this layer, for example, like I add some color where there were no color before, you can see that it shows this yellow doodle behind it. So that's how I like to set up my thumbnail sketching in Procreate. So usually, well, that was again in the past year. That's how I approached it. This year is going to be very different. Maybe. Maybe not. Let me show you another example. So usually, why I have these 3 layers. One layer is for like the middle layer is for sketching, like it's literally that, so you can just sketch. If we're maybe even starting already with the landscapes of dark and gloom, let's take this desaturated blue. So on this sketch layer, I would just literally sketch. Like maybe it's a composition sketch, so I think it would be cool to have something like small here and maybe something large on this side. Doesn't have to be specific yet. If it's just like a little compositional sketch. I don't even know what it would be yet, but maybe something like that, and horizon line would be somewhere there, maybe. Or I could sketch more specifically, like maybe I want to have like a road going into the distance somewhere. And at this stage, it's literally just putting color on paper, or in this case on digital canvas. But it could be lines, it could be, you know, bigger shapes. Maybe I want to have like a big foreground element of sorts, and then something in the distance. Do you have a preferred method of starting out landscapes? Let me know in the comments below. Oh yes. This is how we're gonna play it now. If you post on YouTube, you need to play by YouTube rules. And YouTube rules demand asking people for commenting. Also, subscribe, join the chat, join Discord. Let me share you the link of Discord so you know that we have a Discord community where you can, you know, interact with other creatives or look through the window into the studio process. So, as you can see, this sketch layer is literally just for sketching. And then there is a fill layer, which, okay, let's say for sketching, we just sketch something kind of with outlines. Maybe there is like a smaller, there is a mountain there, and then there is like a, you know, a foreground of sorts, and maybe there is a road going like this. And then maybe I want to have something breaking up this road, some kind of shape. Maybe it's bushes or sorts. Then I can repeat those bushes a bit further in smaller shapes, so it kind of gives the scale to this whole thing. Then maybe some of them are even further in the distance. And maybe here we would have like a person. So let's say this is our sketch. Then on the fill layer, I will just literally pick a color and fill this sketch with color. So that would be a time when I would think maybe of atmospheric perspective. Like this would be, the further things are, the lighter they appear. So this stuff in the front maybe would be a bit darker. What is your experience with Procreate, if you have any? Especially after the latest update, because for me, it got a bit weird, I feel like. I don't know, the brushes, if you look here, like they keep duplicating themselves. Like there is blunt original Plant original. I don't know if there is a third one somewhere. That's the actual original one. But you can see that they keep duplicating themselves, and also the pressure sensitivity got a bit weird. And I don't really know what to blame on it, if it's Procreate's problem or the new Apple operating system with this glass effect everywhere. I personally really dislike what they did with the latest operating system. I don't know how a company like that can fuck up so much and so often in terms of design and just some basics like accessibility. I don't know, what do you think about that? Is anyone using iOS and enjoying the new glass? I would be really curious to know if there are people who like this glass effect and the new operating system. Would be curious to know what do you like about it, because I struggle to see that for myself. So that is the fill layer. And as you can see, like, the sketch is literally just a sketch, and then the fill is the fill. And lately I haven't been doing any line work per se, but back in the days, if you would want to do line work, then there is, like a special layer here, so you can actually go into your sketch and maybe add some outlines to the objects. Although I personally, as I said, don't really do outlines, because lately I've been trying to kind of approach it more, I guess, painterly or realistic, and in reality you don't really see the outlines of objects. There's just groups of shapes everywhere. But it's a stylistic choice, so if you want to have outlines for your objects, and there are, whole genres of art that include outlines, for example, comic books or graphic novels. So then you have your fill and your line, and then you can hide your sketch, and there it is. But that was just an example of how I used to use this setup. What I like about it is that these thumbnails, they really help keep things clean, like these rectangles. But I do feel like they already kind of set the tone to the whole image before I even had a chance to think about it. That's why I thought maybe updating this year these thumbnails would be a good idea. You're an outline person. You mean... Oh, you like to see the painterly style and love the process of art. See, nothing wrong with that. You can like outlining, or you can choose it for your style, and it's all good. What did I want to do? Oh yeah, I wanted to adjust the color of these rectangles to something a bit darker, so it doesn't immediately say that it needs to be dark on white. Maybe a little bit lighter, so there was like a range of values I can put in this. And then maybe make this a little bit less pronounced because they're just numbers. I also have this layer with icons for voting on Telegram. But maybe I will update it another time because I don't want to dig through emojis to put there right now. So we have thumbnails. We have a fill layer, which clips to the thumbnails. And there is a notes layer, which I think I will keep because it's just convenient to have something where you can just go on top of your already existing ideas and maybe fix some things, like, oh, this maybe needs to get bigger or something like that. Or this one needs to move up, or in case I really like the foreground from this sketch and maybe the background from this sketch, I can combine them together and leave myself these notes or some corrections. Like if I notice that the perspective is off here, maybe I go into it and check if it actually makes sense. Anyway, that would be the role of this notes layer. But now, since we have everything set up, let's clear all these layers. And now I will go into video preferences and turn off the time-lapse recording. This will delete everything that I have been drawing so far, or at least the recording of that, which is fine. And now we will turn it back on. So from this point on, everything is recorded again. And then I usually would go into Canvas Actions, Settings, Actions? I guess Actions. And turn on the reference. And you can kind of set it up as you want. I usually try to make it so the canvas fits right into that little preview. And this preview will just be really helpful to not always be zoomed in on what you're drawing, but also have kind of an overview of overall canvas events, what's up, what's happening on the canvas. So this would be my thumbnail template for this year. And then so instead of just having it as a new canvas presets, now I have few of these at the top, and then I just duplicate one, this one, and then I have everything already set up. So it already keeps the fill layer selected. That's where I want to be drawing. It has all the level layers that I might be needing for later, for reviewing my work. And it also has the reference. So, like this is pretty handy. Obviously, you don't have to keep the reference. You can also hide it. but this is pretty convenient to get to doodling faster. And I say get to doodling faster, but I haven't started doing it in half an hour of this stream. I hope you're still there. How's it going over there, wherever you are? Do let us know that you're here, either by liking or commenting or subscribing. Or maybe not or, and joining our Discord server, because things are getting started and early birds get the worms, all the worms. So I I wanted to write down the topic for today. So it's outdoors cold and dark and gloomy. I wonder if everyone who voted on this on Instagram was in Northern Hemisphere, where it's cold, dark, and gloomy, maybe? Or is it just the mental state of people who maybe just read the news, doom scroll, and feel gloomy and dark and cold? Since this new Procreate update, they have quite a lot of new brushes, and the brush settings have changed quite a bit, but I still feel like there are a lot of bugs or some weird interactions. I don't know again if it's operating system or Procreate or both of them together. But my projects also are not really drag and droppable anymore. Like, it's really weird how you can not really rearrange them. And the brushes keep duplicating themselves. It's all over the place. Let me know if you have similar issues or if it's just me. For now, my process is just to not even imagine anything specific, but just to play around with shapes and colors. I can even pop out this color thing next to me so it's more accessible. And dark, cold, gloomy outdoors, in my mind, immediately kind of asked for something blue. So maybe like a dark winter forest. Nobody said that it should be from this planet, right? So theoretically we can go as far into the space of fantasy as we want. I also don't really know yet how to create the gloomy feeling. Usually, when you say gloomy, you imagine maybe low contrast and kind of dark stuff, objects. And sometimes it's fun to just kind of play around with colors without knowing what it's gonna be. Just picking some gloomy colors, maybe shifting the hue a little bit, maybe not shifting it as much on some of these thumbnails. The point being, create some blobs of color, and only later you can decide what it is about. How was your New Year's? A lot of people still are on holidays, I think, and until today. Usually after New Year's there is a lot of food left and people just keep relaxing and eating the leftovers. That was one of the ideas I had for this stream topics. I thought maybe leftovers is a good topic. But then I decided that maybe getting community to vote on stuff is more fun. And it will be. We will see how this turns out. But I wouldn't have come up with this specific prompt myself, I think. So that's pretty neat. And here with this thumbnail, for example, I already see kind of some mountainous shapes here and there, and maybe there is like a frozen lake or something like this in front. So because it already came to my mind, I'm trying to see if this makes sense. And that's the beauty of drawing thumbnails. You can just test out ideas quickly, and if they don't work out, then you didn't spend that much time anyway. So it's all good. You can draw another thumbnail, try something else. Dark, gloomy outdoors also doesn't necessarily say if it's man-made or not. So it can be nature, or it can be like a city from the outside, right? After all the leftovers, it's time to fast. It is time to fast until Carnival, until February. Although I don't know, I think in Orthodox Church, I don't know if there is a fasting over New Year's. Maybe if somebody knows that better, they can shed some light on that. But I know that in many countries in February there are these carnivals, and I think usually Catholic countries. And then in Orthodox countries there is big fasting before Easter. And somehow it all, is more or less the same. Like the fasting, the carnival happens before the fasting, so you can eat as much as you can before not eating as much as you want for some days. And then after that you celebrate again and eat. So there is kind of fasting after New Year's, just not very directly. If this stream community thing, Discord, whatever, this studio works out, then maybe next year for New Year's or Christmas we can share some recipes or make like postcards with recipes. Also, cold, dark, gloomy outdoors could be underwater, right? That would count as gloomy and dark. So maybe we need one sketch with some underwater things. Maybe not even one. What I like about the new Procreate brushes, I've been grumping at them, but there are also good things about them, and one of them is that they have these very heavily textured brushes with oils and paints, and those I really like because whenever you kind of put them around, they create these random blobs of color, these textures. Then you can later use those textures to see something in the composition. Smear some of these bright colors to just imitate the light underwater, the rays of light. The problem with these oil brushes though is that they don't really respond to opacity. You also like the texture of those brushes? Yeah, I think that's one of my new, I wouldn't say obsessions, but something I've been playing around with lately and enjoying quite a bit is these textures of the brushes. I've been also trying to create some of these myself, and we'll keep working on that. So later this year I can release like a brush pack that maybe people want to use in their Procreate drawings. Probably will be a free pack available on my Patreon. Just to get people excited about Patreon, you know. And maybe later this year I will release a bigger pack with more brushes. Who knows? The only way to find that out would be to stick around and see. Maybe there is like a bunch of fish swimming here. You know, these huge swarms of little fish that behave like one organism, kind of. Fish swarms. Also should probably paint a little bit the surface. That would be a bit brighter than the thicket of water. Is there, is there even such a thing as a thicket of water? Can water be in thickets? Two thickets of water, please. All right. Let's see. We have something that looks like mountains here. Maybe it's asking for some dark magenta skies. Let's give it a shot. Maybe not. But maybe we need one sketch with something weird. Can add some more clarity to this sky, I guess. Maybe not clarity yet, but some indication that it's gonna be close. At this stage, it's all about, trusting the process. For me, none of it looks that great yet, but the key word in this sentence is yet. And theoretically, if you just keep following the process, keep focusing on what's important to focus on, and eventually it will all work out. That's the theory, guys. That's the theory. Let's do one completely black. Maybe two. Maybe one is completely and one is less completely. More uncompletely than the other one. So with this black one, maybe we can now go all the way to something much brighter and just highlight some. Maybe it's like a long highway road. That you can barely see through the darkness of the gloom. You just see some tiny reflections of the lights on things on the road. Right now I'm just working with texture brushes, so it doesn't mean that we have to stick to those brushes. For example, we can go to my proper brushes, and there I have this soft brush, which I recommend everyone make for yourself. If you want to know how to make a brush like that, write it in the comments on YouTube or hang out on Discord and let us know there. Because that's something I can explain. We can derail the stream in that direction, or we can do it another time. Don't be shy, So now with this soft brush, I can kind of go around and maybe highlight certain things or darken certain other areas. For example, with this road, as we call it, I can go into the selection mode and then pick freehand selection. And then just select some random shapes here, as if it's like a forest of sorts. And then I can pick a little bit of a lighter color, maybe a little bluer, and just add a tiny bit here. So it's not like a very big difference between dark and bright, but when you notice it, you see that, you know, there is probably a sky and there is probably some kind of forest. And we can do the same with the road, like we can make a big triangular selection and then pick the color of our lamps, not the posts though, and add just a tiny bit. That's a bit much, but you see my point. And because it's all thumbnails, we can, you know, go ham with them. It's not a final amazing illustration that the clients will have to be happy about. Let's maybe darken this a little bit altogether. And maybe you can select. It's a like this selection tool is a very handy tool to select mountains, for example, or forests. Obviously, it's not super fine details, but it certainly helps to work kind of quickly and, dare I say, efficiently. Although it's a personal preference. Some people really kind of swear by this method, and some people work differently. I personally have been having a lot of fun with this method because it gives you very precise control over which areas you want to be affected by your actions and which not. So if that's something you're looking for, maybe this technique is for you. For example, you can just select these mountains at the distance and make only them lighter. How cool is that? You can do the same with traditional media though. Like if you're using watercolor, for example, you can use masking tape to tape certain areas or masking fluid, and then you will have the same effect. Or, for example, with these lampposts, I can, instead of selecting the whole road, I can select just kind of this, what I would imagine be blobs of light on the road, and apply this soft light just to them, and maybe not even to the whole thing, but just to like the right side of this I will exaggerate the effect a bit so it's more clear, but then you can kind of see how it mimics the light. And you can push it even further and connect these lights with their projection on the road with these little triangles, and add a very soft gradient starting at the light source. Of course, they will get brighter as they brighter and bigger as they get closer to the viewer. And now we have a road or a highway. So maybe for these two empty-ish thumbnails, we can use soft brush instead of this textured brush, and just to see the difference in how this would work. So with soft brush, it's very easy to add this, you guessed it, soft gradients. And you can use this same method with maybe like selecting certain shapes. Say, let's just select some random shapes, and then you can use strokes in that area just to add a tiny bit of color difference to it. I'm working at lower opacity, so it's not just the soft edge of the brush, but also the amount of paint that you leave. Maybe there is like a dark foreground here of sorts. Maybe it's like trees. As you can see, I'm just adding kind of random triangular pine tree shapes that I imagine a pine tree would have, sticking out, just some branches, maybe some of them are bigger. And then I will switch the selection mode to remove, and maybe remove some vertical lines here and there, so you could see kind of the space between the trees. But then I will add again some of these branches and connections between those and imperfections, so to say. Depending on the forest, you probably wouldn't have these very clean straight lines going up and down. So, especially at the bottom where you have some more smaller brushery, you could really go in more diagonal angles. Can an angle be diagonal? We don't know. So we'll just make this darker because it's foreground, and darker at the bottom because the bottom is further from the top. And the top is where the light is coming from. That's why it's important. And maybe we'll add like a plane here. Ground plane. That's a little bit brighter than the bottoms of the trees, because that's where the light is shining on, right? So naturally the floor will be a bit brighter. And probably some of the trees will also have to get some highlights, but maybe we'll leave it for later. Now that we have this here, I kind of see a road of sorts, or some opening here that asks me to continue further. Don't know what it will be yet. I haven't mentioned that yet, but if you type !refs in the chat in Twitch, you will get a link to references for these streams. I haven't been doing it that much lately, but let me actually show you what we have for today. There is our stream references board. And you can see some of the examples of gloomy, dark, cold environments and kind of color schemes. Wouldn't say the middle one is very dark and gloomy, but I was just collecting some winter references from before, earlier that week. But as you can see, a lot of them have this very nice glowy mist effect around them. So the further things are, the more hazy they become. So maybe that's another option we can try. Very high contrast, almost black and white effect. How do I exit this? Interest? Can you let me out, please? Well, doesn't seem like Pinterest wants to let me out. But you can go to the references yourself and check them out. So let's continue with this sketch. I feel like it needs some third plane here. Well, because right now we kind of just have this dark foreground and a little brighter background. but I want to have a mean ground. And for that, I will lighten up this mountain just a little bit. Maybe avoiding these trees here. Just to preserve the silhouettes. So if we'll lighten it up now, see that it's a bit better separated with the foreground. Yeah, I think it's time for like a 1-2 minute break. Let's watch this time-lapse replay in the meantime. I will be back in a moment. Get another cup of tea. And we're back. All right, we have one more here that I thought could be this monochrome version, as we saw on the references. So maybe we just kind of paint it black and then take, actually no, let's paint it white. And then we will just pick some more the straight line. We'll just draw trees with selection tool. And this will be the furthest trees. So they should be roughly the same size. And then we'll pick a little darker tone. Maybe even more dark. especially they would get darker towards the bottom, although it's a bit tricky with winter landscapes because you have this white cover of the sun on the ground, or white cover of the sun on the ground, meaning snow, obviously. And with the snow, it reflects so much light that the lighting conditions are quite unique. The best way to learn them would be to observe a lot of winter landscapes, ideally by being in them, but in some countries it's not really possible to find snow. So references, that's the only solution there. Maybe the biggest trees would be here in the front, with the darkest silhouettes, and maybe the most detailed branches, since they're so close. There is a trick with trees that they always get thicker at the bottom, and the volume of the tree stays the same, if that makes sense. So whenever the tree trunk, actually I don't like this tree on the right, let me remove it. Every time the tree trunk separates, you see that kind of the thickness of the tree stays consistent no matter where you are. Maybe it's easier if I show it. Let me show it real fast. Stream derailing. So, what I mean by trees being the same thickness everywhere is if you have the tree starting at the bottom, let's say this is your trunk. When it branches out, let's say this is a branch. This will be the other branch. Like the thickness, the sum of this tree stays the same. And when this branches out, then this stays the same. And when this part branches out, the right side is the same. Oh, the left side. Obviously, they're all thick branches right now, but that's kind of how it works. And then because you have so many smaller branches, you know, this all kind of adds up. If you have a branch sticking out here, then you will have to remove some of the branch from this side, if that makes sense. So kind of this branch can never be as thick as the branch before the branch. Does Does that make sense to anyone? I hope it does, because that's how trees work. And it doesn't matter what kind of tree branching, well, what kind of tree you're drawing. Like it can be like a tree like this with like a huge trunk, but then if it goes up to here, like the thickness of this should be equal to sum of its branches. So like this will be a realistic tree. Yeah. And then if it's like a bunch of trees coming from one point, they also will kind of the thickness of these trees right at the bottom would be the same as sum of thicknesses of these branches. Well, derailing over. Why did I derail there? I don't know. But let's just add some fake snow on top of these branches. For the next week, I have some more ideas about the questions I want to ask you during the week, so we can come up with a fun prompt for next week's stream. I think we can make a quest out of it. So as you can see here, for example, this is a perfect example of why I derailed the conversation. Look at this tree. It goes this thick first, and then this thick goes away, and then this one goes away, but it gets even thicker. What's wrong with this tree? I don't know. It's probably sick. But for a sketch, at this stage, it doesn't matter. It's more of a vibe sketch, right? I would be working on one of those a little bit more. Doesn't look very gloomy, does it? This sketch number 8. The number 3 still has some ways to go. Right now is just colors. So maybe it's worth spending a few minutes on it as well. Maybe this is like a barren landscape, you know. Very few colors, very few things happening, just big plane. Horizon level far away, up high. And now let's add some gloomy shapes to this landscape. Maybe they're like this kind of shark teeth sticking out. Shards of ice, something like that. Do you already have a preference, anyone, out of these 9 sketches? I will pick one more to, not more, just one to work on it a little bit more. But I'm curious if any of these already spark something in you. Five. Huh. I wonder what do you see in number 5? Because I'm not 100% sure myself what it is. Is it houses? Is it something else? Summoning circle in the woods. That also works. Yeah, I can see that. I can see a summoning circle in the woods. This turned into something unexpected, but I don't mind this actually. I don't know what it is. Maybe it needs some steps going into the distance, just for the scale. Maybe this is as good time as any to remind everyone that if you are watching this, it means either you're watching since the beginning, or you just joined. Either way, let let me know that you're there. You know, write a quick hello on YouTube in the chat or on Discord in the chat. Also, the way you can why I say that is that it's not super obvious, I think, that these days, if you want to support something or show that you care, you have to do it more than ever before, because the internet is filled with all sorts of stuff. So, you know, if you are watching this until this moment, it probably means that you like what you're seeing, or you like being here, maybe. Which I personally appreciate a lot, because you could be doing anything else. But with this in mind, the personal appreciation aside, it is important that we work together on this channel. And even though it is my channel and I'm responsible for everything that's happening here, if you want this channel to succeed, then we will have to put more effort together in it. Ultimately, the only thing I can do is just to show up here every week, which I'm planning on doing this year more than last year. Although, when we started last year, we never gave up. So, that's already great. But yeah, everything I can do is just to show up here with a topic and share my process and invite you to join. But the success of the channel itself and how many viewers we'll have, how many challenges we'll get to do together, all of that depends on you guys. If you also show up, then that's already a big step forward for the studio. But if you want to take it one step further, you can. There are a few things you can do. The easiest thing, and probably that requires the least effort from people, is to like the stream. Ideally, you would like it for, let's put it this way, not ideally, but for the most impact of your life. It's great if you like it within first, I think, 10 or 15 minutes of the screen. Obviously, by now this is a bit late news, but another way, that's liking. That's, you know, easiest thing to do. It's one click, it's right there. If you're still not subscribed on YouTube to this, that's another thing you could do, ideally during the stream, because I think YouTube likes it more when people subscribe during the stream. If you're watching on Twitch and you're not following yet, do the doing. Following doesn't cost you anything. You can unsubscribe from notifications if you don't like them, and just come here by yourself without notifications. That's also possible. But another kind of the most probably meaningful way you could support these efforts of mine would be to interact with stuff. So, like writing in chat is a big thing while the stream is going. Writing comments after the stream is going, also a big deal. And it doesn't have to be a lot, you know, like people, I think, often imagine that they will have to like non-stop chatting. But even one message, even, hey, thanks, or hey, how is it going? Or bye, I'm leaving. Any message is better than no message, because it also, mostly because that makes it clear that you're actually there, because I don't see who is watching. I just see a number. Those, I think, are the most impactful ways of helping me out to get this studio up and running. And it doesn't cost any money. Although it does, I can understand that, you know, people have different behaviors and different uses for these features. For example, with YouTube likes, I personally usually only like the videos that I want to rewatch. So it's kind of like saving for later, but already for watched content. And I don't think that's how YouTube intends people to use it, and I also don't know if that's a that's a smart way of using like button, but that's how I'm used to using it. So when I'm liking a video that I'm watching, I don't click the like button often, because it's not that I want to save it for later. But lately I've been working against this habit of mine, because it doesn't make sense. But at the same time, it does help those other creators to promote their videos or streams if I click that like button. So I've kind of started thinking about it more as community service rather than something for myself to keep for later, and I started smashing that like button much more. The same goes with Instagram, you know, it's a mess on Instagram. The algorithms have changed, people are freaking out. Although the same on YouTube. I hear a lot from YouTubers that their views are down, nobody's subscribing anymore, nobody's interacting with their videos. And it's not that the videos have changed, it's that people's behaviors have changed, the algorithms have changed, and it's not really clear anymore how to succeed, except of just being consistent and showing up. All right. I will let this in here for a second and collect the votes. I mean, I'm not gonna open voting because how do you do that? But I thought if you have any thoughts on which of these 9 sketches to continue for the next maybe half an hour. Do let me know while I'm trying to find. There is contest it's called. Let's create a new contest. Give me a second. I personally like for dark and gloom probably the right column the most. Maybe 7 or 9. Okay, let's try this. Duration 2 minutes. I started contest? I don't know. I started a contest on Twitch. I'm not sure how it works and if it should be a contest or something else. But whoever is watching on Twitch, and I know there are a couple of you out there, if you by now should have some ink points that you can bet on. I will bet on number 9. That you just type exclamation mark bet and then 9. I think. I don't know how that works, but we're learning together, guys. It's a learning experience for all of us. It's gonna run for 50 seconds. Wait a second. Bet 9 1. Well, the contest have ended. There are no no winners, because I don't think it was doing the right thing. We have 0 ink bets on everything. Let's do... Okay, the viewers have picked number 7. So let's respect the viewers. I will try to fix this, the voting thing next time, if we want to vote. Oh boy. So number 7 it is. Let's do it this way. Usually when I have a set of thumbnails I'm kind of satisfied with, I just duplicate it and then I remove the layers that I don't need and then just merge everything and remove the thumbnails that I don't need for this one. Then I can blow up this thumbnail as much as I want. Blow it up. And then we can start working it with more layers. Let's pick lovely oils. Let's see how lovely it is. This is what I mean with either Procreate bugging out or operating system of iPad, because you can't just rearrange stuff anymore. Like it doesn't rearrange the layers. You see? Well, I guess we're gonna have to work around that. What I wanted to do is just add some color around it so we have a more clear idea of the whole composition. Then I will just put the rest of the layers in clipping mask. Set the background to some black just to not have it there. Hey, Hummingberry, thank you for subscribing on YouTube. This is great. More subscribers, better. There is an owl in the background. What was I talking about before this? Contest. Misfortune. Oh yeah, ways of supporting the channel. Yeah, I think you already know by now. And I'm not really even saying it to make you subscribe or like this channel specifically. It's more, I guess, in general, me trying to educate people on how this kind of stuff works on the background, so people can make more educated decisions about how they support whatever they want to support. Doesn't have to be this channel, can be any other channel. I want to check my perspective. So if I have my horizon line somewhere here, well, you can see anything, right? If my okay, let's try this again. If my horizon line is somewhere here, then all these lampposts, they will converge to a vanishing point on that horizon, right? At least that's how physics work in space. Let's do this again. This one, and then maybe next to it is the road. Something like this. Oh, we will have. There is, in a mathematical way, to construct these lampposts so they are all on equal distance from each other. At equal distance, whatever. You make one of these lampposts. Let's say this one is my first lamppost, right? The thing coming out here and then going like this. Then like you can put another one. You can't measure a distance with one object. It needs to be a distance from something, right? So let's put another lamppost maybe here. So now we have two lampposts. Well, that's a bad place because you can't see the other point. Let's put the other lamppost here, where it is already doodled. So now you have two lampposts, and now you want to continue with lampposts, but you don't know how. Obviously, you can just, kind of rough estimate it, and in a lot of cases, this is fine. In if you practice it a little bit, it's gonna be easy. But sometimes you want to make sure that, you know, it's correct. And if you just say measure this distance and put it again, this is not gonna be looking very natural or going into the perspective correctly, because when you, doesn't matter why, just doesn't look correct because it's not the same distance when you put stuff into perspective. Now with these two lampposts, you can just pick, you have this rectangle here, right? Or rectangle in perspective. You connect the angles or the corners, not the angles, the corners of this, and you get this point. From this point, you bring it to the vanishing point, the same vanishing point where these other points converge to. And this gives you this middle point on the lamppost. Now from your first lamppost, from the, doesn't matter from the top or from the bottom, you connect, so basically you connect the top part of the lamppost with this new midpoint and continue the line further. So like this, until it meets with the ground plane. From there, like basically that's it. This is your point that's the same distance from this point, this lamppost, then this second lamppost is from the first lamppost. Lamppost, lamppost, distance, distance. You have this line here now that goes through the midpoint of the second lamppost as well, or third in this case. So you pick the second lamppost, top part, put the line through the middle of the third lamppost until you meet the ground plane. Bam! There's your fourth lamppost. And you can continue doing this until you're satisfied with the amount of lampposts you have. And then you just need to make sure that just have enough visibility of your guidelines to kind of just mark for yourself where these lampposts would be. And at some point you also will get the feel for these converging lines into the horizon, and it would be much easier to estimate it by heart. Can do the same with trees, can do the same with whatever is going into the horizon ultimately. I think it's time to redo these the light. Redo the light. I mean the lighting, these triangles, they don't do what I want them to do. The weird part with these oil brushes is that it kind of mixes with other brushes in a strange way. I also see that I have captions turned on for Twitch, and it completely messes up everything I said. I don't know if anybody's watching the stream with captions. Apparently streams with captions are better watched than streams without captions. I imagine it's because some people watch streams without watching them. I mean, they listen to streams rather than watch them. Maybe next stream, if we also draw landscapes, I will try using the new techniques I learned in the course that I've been doing in the past X amount of weeks. I wanted to do it for this stream, but forgot about it, so I guess next stream it is. But that approach is completely different from what I'm used to. There is a lot of stamp brushes used with that technique. And I really like that, his point on that is, when tools is just, tools are just that, right? Like, tool is a tool. It's how you use it and what you use it for, and the rest doesn't matter. So from that point of view, I really like that approach as well. It kind of everything is just a tool. It's what you do with it that matters the most. Also for myself, I created a special brush in perspectives. It's called One Point Perspective, and it's just a bunch of lines. And this I find very useful because you can just, turn it, twist it however you want without going into perspective mode of sorts. And it's really convenient for quickly checking your perspectives. I also have it on paper, which I can also recommend. You just take a little piece of paper, take a ruler, draw these lines, and then you can put that piece of paper on top of your other pieces of paper and see how your perspective aligns. So here we can clearly see that the lampposts aren't really aligned well. So if we want them to look like they're all on the same line, I will have to adjust this a little bit. And the bottom as well needs a bit of a cleanup. And then of course this yellow road line should be completely different. If here we have the side of the road, maybe I'll actually keep it on the sides, and then I can duplicate it and see if it makes sense somewhere here. Maybe we're standing on the side of this road. What if we add the third one? Not sure what to think about these three lines. Maybe this one needs to be thicker. Or a double line. Let's delete the ends there. Also, we can lighten up them as they go further into the distance, because they will be less visible further they go. And then maybe we're gonna cheat this a little bit. Well, you say cheat. I say cheat. I say cheat. I also say a tool is just a tool. So maybe this cheat is also not going to work. But I want to try make these the lights from the lamps. I want to just use the lamps that we have and just kind of stretch them out. This? No, maybe not like this. Okay, let's try this again. Duplicate this one. Let's select just the vertical lines. Duplicate those. This stuff. Duplicate this to make a bit brighter. And now we can distort these so they look like we want them to look like. You might argue that by this time I would already have drawn the light on the road by myself without this complicated technique. And you would probably be right. So good job you. If you thought it's long and unnecessary way of doing this, I agree. It is. I guess it gives us the indication where the light would be. And I feel like the easy way to add light would be just to use the same soft brush, maybe a bit brighter. And then we just place it on the road underneath these. Right. And then we can duplicate it and move it a bit further. Maybe uniform scaling this time. Maybe we combine them and then duplicate. Let's try this. Theoretically, it should work because the perspective goes in the same way between these elements. And again, the further stuff goes into the distance, the less bright and saturated it is. So we can remove some of these, make the lampposts themselves a bit less noticeable. And the light that they cast will also be less bright than the one in the front. All right. There, we will probably spend another 15 minutes or so on this sketch. I will work on it a little bit later, more I think in the evening or afternoon, and then post it on Instagram. If you have done anything while you're on stream, please share that on Discord, because that's always super interesting to see. And these lights we can fit a little bit more with the background by putting them in like color dodge mode or add mode, and then removing some of the opacity from that layer. Do you think this image fits the prompt that we picked on Instagram, with being dark, gloomy, and cold? Or is it missing the cold element and there should be something blue? Or we can kind of not fake it, but we can fix it, let's put it this way, pretty easily. With just putting another layer. We can make it blue. Like this. And then you put it in a clipping mask. First we can just make the whole thing a little bit cooler like that. But you can also put it in different light modes and see which of these looks best to you. Maybe this is the one. But these lampposts are still missing something. First, they're very straight. I think it's a missed opportunity to add some interest to them. Maybe we'll make them a little bit brighter and not as straight. And they're also lacking the light itself, right? So there is still some bits to do with these. And I think these, you can see this straight line going into the perspective. And I think it's on this layer. So we'll just, we'll just we'll just smudge it up so we don't have this straight perspective line there. Maybe this light needs to be a bit cooler, like if we go to hue, saturation, and brightness. First we can make it flickering, which is fun, and second we can add some saturation and pick the color that adds to the old gloomy mood. And maybe it's this bluish color. What if we do them even more blue? Will that work? What if we make them like bright blue? The same way we did the lamppost going into the vanishing point, we can do the same into another direction, right? So we connect the top and the bottom. We have this middle point. We put the line through middle point and the vanishing points. And then through this midpoint, we can find a place for the next lamppost, and it would be right outside of the frame, it seems like. Well, that's okay, we can still add like a bright spot here in the front from that lamppost. Something along these lines, and then we can smudge these guys a bit away. Maybe these as well. It's still textured, but maybe it's not as crazily textured as it was. We can keep some more texture in front just to highlight more details, and then the further it goes away, the less details we will have. These layers not wanting to rearrange is a bit of an annoying problem. Okay, it's time for these cones of light. That I promised before. Let's pick this soft round brush. There are multiple ways you could do it. One way would be, it's kind of fun. You pick the color. You make just one soft circle of that light, and then you go into distort and distort it until you have the desired effect. Sometimes, you need to do it a few times until you get where you want. You can also use warp mode, which in advanced mesh, which is a bit maybe easier sometimes, but because it makes these curves, it's not always great for like hard edge things. Then maybe we can just duplicate it and scale it and bring it to the next light. And maybe also remove some of the hard edge here. And then we can duplicate it again, bring it to the next one. And then duplicate it again. And again. And probably it would be smart to lower the opacity on those that are going further away. The further they go, the lower the opacity. Go, and maybe we duplicate the first one and put it into like add mode, so it's even more visible. Maybe it doesn't need all this glow outside, so we can clean it up a little bit. So it's not that crazy. I'm not sure about this blue. Maybe the light shouldn't be that blue. Let's remove some of the blue. Add some red, remove some. Well, let's add some green as well. Something along these lines. I think these houses or whatever it is on the left side also will require some love, because right now it's very abstract, which is not a problem in itself. But it kind of is asking for some more details. Maybe I can even add some of this yellow as well to kind of lay off the road markings. Just maybe there's a tiny bit of just a couple of windows or something like that. I don't know, maybe there is a car coming your way. Maybe even, I don't know, maybe the light shouldn't be blue, maybe the light also should be yellow. But then does it detract from the gloom feeling, or does it add to it because it some reason maybe? And we're getting close to our final part, which will be a Roland MC101 music jam. And it's our traditional last bit of the stream. If you're new here, Roland MC101 is a groove box that I have purchased last year, and every stream I play some improvised music on it. There is nothing pre-recorded from it. It's just in the spirit of the day, however it feels, there is some soundtrack to this stream. And some of those tracks that were recorded on stream, I released on New Year as a mini album. So if you're interested in that, listening to that stuff, check out SoundCloud and Bandcamp. That's where the stuff is. Love the gloomy lighting, says Mervyn. Thank you. So it does work, do you think? I also think it kind of works. Maybe I will work on the sky a little bit after the stream. But in the meantime, since the improvised part, the music part of the stream is improvised, do you have any requests which direction to go? I was thinking, because the topic for today was something gloomy and dark, I thought a gloomy, dark ambient or something like that could be a fun musical answer to the prompt. But I think this is where I will leave this sketch for now. I will work on it a little bit more, as I said, in the next couple of evenings, and you can see the final version of it later on Instagram. I should also post it on Discord, because that's where the most conversations are happening, if they're happening. And if you don't know we have a Discord, then it's a pity, but today you learned something new. So let's get into the music mode. Should get a sound effect for that. But this will come later this year. all the soundtracks, transitions and animations and all this great stuff. Let's get our important listener. Let me check the sounds while you're suggesting your ideas and adjusting the loudness. All right. Well, I don't see any suggestions in the chat, which is fine. We will work with what we have, and what we have is a new, completely empty project. So maybe because it's the new stream of the year, or the new first stream of the year, I will introduce those of you who might not be aware of how it works, introduce you to our little friend MC101. So let's put something fun here inside. There you go, a print. So the way this thing works is it's a groove box, as you can see by the name of it. On the top right, let's zoom in a bit. So this lighting, so it's more clear. So for those of you who don't know what Roland MC101 is, let me give you a 1 minute intro. We have 4 tracks here. Each track can be either drums, and the drums you can obviously change. Right now let's pick a preset drum kit. Maybe there is 80s, and there is probably 90s. Then there is some analog kit. Pretty cool. Brush kit. It's as if you're playing drums with brushes. like to have for this beginning. Oh, there is also drum and bass. I like to have some more realistic, I guess, or acoustic sounding drum kit with some extra. Let's just get the jazz kit. And one of these this, for example, I rarely use claps, so let's replace the clap. Actually, what's this? Yeah, let's replace the clap with an electronic kick. Maybe something like this. So we have kind of acoustic sounds, and then we have electronic kick. And then these this one I like, so I will copy pad 6 to pad 5. So now we have this here, and the rest I will replace with some percussion, because I think everybody needs something percussive. And there are 4 banks of percussion: bongo, I like this tabla bayam. And then this udu pot is great as well. And then we have this one for some maybe shakers. Maracas, perfect. So we have the drum kit now. That's drums. Let's just save this project. And then, except of drums, you can have tones in these 4 tracks. One of the, for example, track 2 has initial tone. Be careful, it's pretty harsh. That's just a sine wave, I think, or saw wave. Probably saw. So let's pick maybe a bass for this one. And because I'm thinking ambient, maybe we're looking for some soft basses. let's pick this one. We can always change it later. Let's set the tempo to maybe 100 BPM. So with these tone tracks, you can obviously just play the tones. You can play chords where it's available. Actually, let's change this bass to something a bit shorter, maybe. Maybe not this. You can see there is already a big selection of basses available, but you can customize the sounds pretty much to anything you want. And then we have on the track 3, we have the same initial tone, and here I want to change it to some pads, because we're playing some gloomy ambient. So. And obviously these pads you can also customize to however you want, and maybe we will a bit. And on the 4th track, I still have this initial kit. The idea was that I might load some other sounds here, so you can just pick some percussions. So maybe here it would be fun to actually have the maybe drum and bass kit. Let's see. I wanted initially to load some other samples, but for now we don't have the samples. When we will have them, we will add them. So let's record something, play around, and then I will see you on the other side. Well, look at this. We safely arrived at the other side of this Sunday stream. First stream of the year. I want to thank you all for joining today. Thank you for picking the topic yesterday on Instagram. If you haven't yet subscribed, what are you doing, guys? Come on. Click that button, bell, like, whatever is necessary to show that you are present is really appreciated. with that, I want to wish you a great start of the year and many fun things. Alright, thanks you all for joining again. See you next Sunday and have a great week.